Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On NBA Free Agency 2023. The madness has begun, and all throughout the afternoon and evening, we're going to be checking in with your local Locked On hosts who are experts on all the teams across the NBA who are getting involved in the craziness. Here with me now is Locked On Wizards host Ed Oliver to break down the new news that free agent Kyle Kuzma has agreed in a 4-year, $102 million deal to return to the Washington Wizards, according to several reports that were out just after that 6:01 p.m. Eastern time deadline. Now, Kyle Kuzma is coming off a career year, averaging more than 21 points per game. What does it mean to the Wizards to bring him back?
Kuz had a heck of a season last year. He was a good leader on and off the court. Played really well. He was a part of the solid three, and this is a good deal. 4 years, $102 million. There was reports saying that he was looking for $30 million. The Rockets were a suitor. The Pacers were a suitor. The Kings were a suitor for Kyle Kuzma. All those teams had interest. The Kings have had interest in Kyle Kuzma for years, dating back to even when we traded for Russell Westbrook. So for him to come back, I think it's a good deal. We don't let him walk for nothing. Down the line, we can get some value for him. And once again, he's a good leader. He's a guy that can score. He's a solid passer. He's a good rebounder, 21.2 points a game. Played really well on the boards, had a triple-double last season as well. He averaged about seven boards a game last season. So I think he's going to be a good leader on the team, a good leader and a guy that can really score and fill it up. Right now, we are in a rebuilding phase right now since we traded Bradley Beal, we traded Kristaps Porzingis. So we got a lot of young guys that we want to see develop, like Denny, Johnny Davis, Bilal Coulibaly. So, how are the minutes going to fluctuate with Kyle Kuzma coming back? Because Kyle Kuzma is a guy that's going to get about 30 minutes a game or more, and he's going to take a lot of shots. So how is that going to affect the development of some of the younger guys that are on the roster?
Yeah, you mentioned some of the moves the Wizards just made, so that's why I find this one kind of interesting, just in terms of where does the roster stand, big picture? What do you predict comes next from the Wizards?
Right now, I don't see any big. I think this is probably our big splash. If there's a splash, I think they already made a lot of moves trading Bradley Beal. They made a lot of moves trading Kristaps. They drafted Bilal Coulibaly. They brought in some guys from the Warriors, Ryan Rollins and Patrick Baldwin Jr. So I think they want to see what they have in the young core. They got a lot of guys that are 24 years old and younger on the roster right now. And even though you have a lot of young guys and you're rebuilding, maybe the Wizards aren't really looking to win games right now or make the playoffs. But at the same time, you still have to have some veteran leaders in there. And I think Kyle Kuzma definitely is that guy. And right now, he's on a good contract. 4 years, $102 million, about $25 million per year. You can definitely move him at the trade deadline. The previous GM and Tommy Shepard, maybe he could have traded Kyle Kuzma before the trade deadline last year and could have got a first-round pick. But now Kyle Kuzma can drive up his value even more. Many playoff teams were interested in him. A lot of teams were interested in Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma, he's a scorer. He can be a little inconsistent. He definitely gets some shots up, but he is a fan favorite for sure. He can certainly fill up, and he definitely is a vocal leader. He definitely took somewhat of a good leader role. He's taken Denny under his wing, other young guys as well. He's a really, really good vocal leader for the team for sure. So, but we'll see how long he'll be here. For the foreseeable future, I think he's a guy that's gonna be on the roster. We'll see if he's on the roster after the trade deadline. I think they can definitely get some value for Kyle Kuzma right before the trade deadline.
Interesting. Now, assuming Kuzma stays with the Wizards, or at least up until that point, what do you project being the role for Kuzma in this lineup? You keep talking about the veteran leadership, and we've also seen him take some major steps in terms of his progression in his game the last, couple years, but especially this past season. What's next for him in terms of his role on this team, and how important is he going to be with Bradley Beal and some of the other veterans, who were offloaded?
Well, Kyle Kuzma, he's been known for being clutch in DC. There is a couple of game winners that he's hit, a big game winner against the Pistons. He's hit a couple big shots down the stretch. So he's going to be the guy. It's really going to be between him and Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole coming to the team. Jordan Poole is going to get a lot of shots up. He's a microwave scorer. Kyle Kuzma, once again, is a microwave scorer. So right now, you look at the starting lineup right now, projected is way too early. Probably Tyus Jones, Jordan Poole, Kuzma at the 4, possibly Corey Kispert at the 3, and then I would say Gafford at the 5 right now at this point. Gallinari reportedly most likely is going to be bought out. So that's what I see as your day one starting 5. But I feel like Kyle Kuzma is a guy when things get tight towards the end of the game, it's going to be between him and Jordan Poole. Whoever's hot at the end of the game most likely will take the last shot. And Kyle Kuzma has shown that he's been super clutch in DC. He's a fan favorite. This hat is a hat that Kyle Kuzma designed as well. I'm going to show this on the screen as well. He designed this hat as well, and he put this signature on the hat as well. So I think he's a valuable asset to the team. And him coming back is a good thing for DC because he can play well and he can drive up his value. And I think they definitely can find some assets for him later down the line.
Now, one last question for you, Ed. You host the Locked On Wizards podcast every single day. You're around the team. You cover the team. What's been your favorite Kyle Kuzma moment?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like the three against the Pistons. I love that one. I love when he dunked on Joel Embiid as well when we beat the Sixers I want to say 2 years ago we beat the Sixers. He did that. But Kyle, he we know how he is off the court. You know, he likes to model and wear a lot of different things off the court. You know, he's a fashion guy. Dates Winnie Harlow, all that stuff. We know that. Yeah. So he's a fun guy to root for. He's a fun guy to root for, and I think he's going to be a good guy, a veteran leader. He's 28 years old, and he's probably the oldest guy on the roster at this point right now after trading Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis. So it's a youth movement. Will Dawkins, Travis Schlenk, and Michael Winger, the new big three front office, they're making good moves right now. And I like to sign it for the value because they didn't have to spend $30 million on Kyle Kuzma. That's what he wanted, and I think this is a fair deal for him. You look at John Collins, who just got traded for 2 second-round picks to the Jazz. They had a similar contract, but I think Kyle Kuzma at this point is the better player. And I think down the line, if they do move on from him this year or next year, I think you can definitely get more value than what John Collins got for the Hawks.
Awesome. Well, Ed, thanks so much for joining us. The host of the Locked On Wizards podcast, your team every day. The Locked On NBA Free Agency 2023 craziness will continue. I'm Kylan Mills, your host. Appreciate you being with us, and we'll have much more to come.